A teenage emperor ruled the world's greatest empire with a golden crown on his head, a dagger in his hand, and a stage beneath his feet. Families destroyed, Rome aflame, pleasures piled higher than palaces. This isn't a myth. This is Nero, and his true crimes are darker than history dares to tell. Chapter 1. The young emperor comes to power. In 54, Anno Domini Nero, at just 16, became Emperor of Rome, the world's most powerful empire. His mother, Agrippina the Younger, orchestrated his adoption by Claudius, sidelining the rightful heir, Britannicus. Overnight, Nero went from privileged youth to supreme ruler, moving into marble palaces, adorned with frescoes, treasures, and unimaginable luxury. The Senate and elite watched nervously, knowing this boy's whims could reshape the empire. Though Rome was stable, with strong provinces and a disciplined military, Nero's personal ambition threatened governance. Whispers of cruelty, excess, and vanity began spreading. The tension between duty and desire, statecraft and ego, was set, an ominous prelude to a reign defined by scandal, indulgence, and ruthless power. Chapter 2. A tyrant in the making. Nero's rise wasn't just a story of inheritance, it was marked by calculated violence. One of his first acts was eliminating rivals, starting with his stepbrother Britannicus. Historical sources suggest poison, carefully orchestrated, removing the only serious challenger to his throne. Then came the psychological chess with his mother, Agrippina. Initially, she controlled him, guiding his decisions and consolidating power. But Nero's desire for independence grew. Multiple assassination attempts eventually led to her death, first in a collapsing boat, then a confirmed stabbing when she survived the initial plot. His relationship with the Senate was no safer. He manipulated senators, humiliated them publicly, and forced compliance, demonstrating early signs of authoritarian rule. Nero's charm masked a calculating mind. The blend of personal ambition, psychological games, and sheer ruthlessness created a reputation that spread quickly through Rome. Citizens whispered, elites feared, and historians would later immortalize him as a symbol of absolute tyranny. Chapter 3. The Great Fire of Rome. In 64 Anno Domini, a devastating fire swept through Rome, consuming buildings, temples, and homes. Legend says Nero fiddled while Rome burned, yet historical evidence suggests he wasn't present and did not start the fire. Tacitus records that Nero used the tragedy to scapegoat Christians, punishing them cruelly. Some were crucified or burned alive in his gardens. Amid the chaos, Nero rebuilt the city, constructing lavish streets, expansive palaces, and most famously, the Golden House, his private pleasure palace. The fire's aftermath revealed both his indulgence and political savvy. He shifted blame, expanded wealth, and reinforced imperial authority. Whether villain or misunderstood ruler, Nero's decisions during this disaster left an indelible mark on Rome. The fire became a symbol of destruction, but the emperor's personal excesses, cruelty, and ambition ensured his crimes were far darker than flames alone. Chapter 4. Murders and Personal Crimes. Nero's personal life is like a horror story. He orchestrated the deaths of those closest to him, starting with Octavia, his first wife, popular with the people but inconvenient for his desires. Accusations of infertility and adultery led to her exile and eventual execution. Poppaea, his next wife, met a violent end, according to sources. Nero kicked her while she was pregnant. His mother, Agrippina, had already faced assassination attempts and murder. These acts were driven by political necessity, personal jealousy, and unbridled desire for power. Nero's cruelty extended beyond family. Political rivals and anyone challenging his authority risked torture or death. These murders weren't isolated, they were part of a pattern that terrified Rome, cementing his reputation as an emperor whose private pleasures and public rule were inseparable from fear and brutality. Chapter 5. Nero the Performer. While ruling Rome, Nero craved public admiration, stepping into arenas, theatres, and chariot races. He sang, played the lyre, and even competed in musical contests, always ensuring victory. Romans considered these displays scandalous, especially for an emperor whose role was to govern, not entertain. Yet Nero's obsession with performance reflected both his vanity and desire for public love. He pushed social boundaries, forcing senators and elites to participate or watch, blending politics and spectacle. These performances scandalized Rome, feeding the narrative of a degenerate ruler. But they also reveal a man seeking validation beyond politics, a ruler driven by applause, eager to be remembered not just as emperor, but as performer, artist, and legend. In a world of intrigue, the stage became both a weapon and a shield, a symbol of Nero's audacity and the empire's tolerance for spectacle over stability. Chapter 6. Nero's Rule and the Empire. Even with indulgences and cruelty, Nero's empire remained remarkably functional. Generals like Corbulo managed provinces, rebellions such as Boudicca's in Britain were contained, and diplomatic solutions in Armenia maintained Rome's borders. He delegated legislative responsibilities to the Senate, allowing governance to continue even as he pursued personal interests. This duality is striking. Nero could be tyrannical in Rome while the empire at large prospered. His personal crimes contrasted with a surprisingly resilient administrative system, showing that even one of history's most infamous rulers could preside over stability when necessary. The empire survived not because of Nero, but often even with him, highlighting the strength of Roman institutions and the complexities of leadership in a sprawling, diverse empire. Chapter 7. Patron of Arts and Culture. Nero's reign wasn't all blood and fire. He championed arts, music and architecture, leaving a cultural legacy. He freed the province of Achaia from taxation, gaining popularity in Greece. Festivals, competitions and building projects reflected his patronage and interest in cultural achievement. Coins minted in his honor depicted him as a generous and enlightened ruler. Yet these accomplishments were overshadowed by murder and scandal. Nero's vision for Rome included beauty, grandeur, and innovation, but his personal excesses cast a dark shadow over cultural contributions. He was both a creator and a ruler whose legacy cannot be measured by cruelty alone. Chapter 8. The Legacy of a Villain. History remembers Nero as one of Rome's most infamous emperors. Ancient writers like Tacitus, Suetonius, and Cassius Dio shaped the narrative, sometimes exaggerating events to highlight tyranny. Some stories fiddling while Rome burned, bizarre cruelty may be myths, yet murders, corruption and abuse of power are well documented. Nero's reign forces a question: was he a monstrous tyrant or a product of propaganda and a politically charged environment? The truth lies somewhere in between, a man of ambition, cruelty, artistry and excess, whose life fascinates centuries later. His crimes, theatricality, and impact on Rome remain legendary, reminding us that power unchecked can burn brighter and more dangerously than the greatest fire. Craving more tales of power, history, and scandal? Hit subscribe and step inside history's most infamous empires, where every palace and throne hides secrets waiting to be uncovered.